Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 2 playthrough! So, basically, this trip to Hollow Bastion will take quite a while, because we have all these trips to and from Space Paranoids. Although I think this is kind of the end of our trip to the Space Paranoids, and then we've got more happening in Hollow Bastion. It's leads to something that's just one of the most awesome things in video gaming ever. Also, once again, I love the 2D images. Very well done. Now, what we're about to get here is quite cool, and certainly very fitting for what, you know, that happens in Tron and all that. But from a gameplay perspective, it's mean. Is the only way I can describe it. Because we get to do the light cycle stuff, which is just awesome, but still mean.
Welcome to the game grid.
Game grid?
That's right. You've been chosen to play a few games. Lose and you will be subject to immediate de-resolution. Win? Well, no one wins.
We're not gonna play your games.
You have no choice.
Well then, get on with it.
So, we got the light cycle, we have basically 2 challenges to complete. The first one is incredibly easy, and you shouldn't have a problem with it at all. Basically, just kind of attack the Heartless, and just try not to get flung into the walls. It's generally a good tactic. Now, the idea of using the light cycles is great, and I'm glad they did, because it is such an iconic part of Tron. However, I do think they could have stood to make it a little bit less cheap.
Alright, it looks like we can escape through there.
Especially for this second mission, because it's incredibly difficult, and has no real reason to be, because obviously it's a different type of gameplay mechanic, which you may not be quite used to, and it's very long for what it is. The general tactic is kind of just make sure that you kind of make excellent use of your charge and attack moves to hurt the Heartless as much as possible. But it is just rather difficult, and I will say, kind of, I died, I think it was at least twice on this. And it's just like, I don't normally die, well, I die very little in this game outside of that one instance earlier on, and a certain, I think it may just be a certain boss at a later point as well. So it's like, to die multiple times, which is more than happens generally elsewhere, in this section alone, just kind of proves that I think it is just that little bit overly long, and that little bit overly challenging. Also, I'm very disappointed that we don't have kind of a beam coming out of the back of the light cycle, because that's what the whole point of the thing was. But either way, it's done now. We don't have to return to it. You can, and I think it lets you some stuff in Jiminy's journal if you complete it successfully, but we're free of it. Yay!
Tron!
I don't understand. Why are you here?
We came to give you the password.
Why didn't you just transmit the data?
One's back.
Hey, are you okay?
I'll be all right once we access the DTD.
Oh, poor Tron. He really does get the short end of the stick with these things. I mean, what with everything that goes on in Tron Legacy, from what I can gather from playing Dreamed Up Distance, because it is my only experience of it. I really do need to watch those films. He does just get the short end of the stick, which sucks considering the bloody series is named after him. Now, I'm not really explaining much to do with the synthesis stuff, because kind of I mean, generally you can see what's going on. I mean, essentially, if you want to get the Ultima weapon, which is what I'm working towards, you need to get to, I think it's like level 3 or 4 synthesis thing, so basically you just got to make sure that you synthesize as much as possible in order to get to that point where you can use kind of the extra thingies to impact on your synthesis stuff. I mean, basically you need to get it so that you can half the number of items you need, which is a bit stupid, really, because you need something like... well, there are only like 7 Orichalcum pluses in the game, and that's what you need to get the Ultima weapon, but the recipe requires like 14, so you have to use a thing to half it, which is just daft, really. It's just like, well, I don't see the point in that existing, but oh well, it's something we're working towards, and it's not that difficult. I'd argue it's probably easier than... actually, it's definitely easier than the original Kingdom Hearts' Ultima weapon, because, like, that thing took forever to get, because it required so much stuff. Some of it was really bloomin' rare. Like, my god. Anywho, so kind of, we don't really get to cover that much of the Space Paranoids in terms of area, because there's like a whole other section that's off, kind of down that pathway there, that we don't get to visit until right near the end of the game at this point, really. So instead, we just have to go in here and... oh no, I think we do actually get to go to the next bit after this. But it is only after this, which is another little, just like minigame style battle. It's not quite kind of normal. So, what we have to do here is, whilst defeating Heartless, we have got to make sure to turn off all of these signal things. So, stop all the monitors, basically. And you do this by beating the Heartless, collecting the things, and then basically standing near one of the monitors and pulling a reaction command, basically. And you're timed, so they kind of decides to try and up the difficulty by quite a little bit, just to make it easy, just evil. Having said that, it's really not that difficult. If you manage to make it through the light cycle without any problems, then there is no way in hell this is going to be that much of a challenge. Because there are only 3 monitors, and they give you that many Heartless to blooming kill that you just collect those clusters like there's no tomorrow. I'd say the worst challenge is remembering which blooming monitors you haven't turned off, but even then it's not that difficult. But it's done! Yay! We can access the DTD.
I'm as good as new. All my functions have been restored.
Oh boy!
Finally, I have full access to the DTD. My takeover of the system is now complete. I might have anticipated such a simple password. What's this? An emergency destruct program for the town. Let's see how it performs.
No.
Program, you changed the password.
There, that should buy us some time.
Tron, tell us what's going on.
The MCP's loading a hostile program into the I.O. tower.
What do we do?
We've got to protect the user town. Let's head to the tower.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. Also, at this point, we've earned the limit with Tron, which is just, it's another glorious one, really. Oh, actually, no, we already had it. Never mind. But I think, kind of from this point onwards, we are going to start making use of it, because it is pretty damn awesome. I like how kind of both Goofy and Tron basically say exactly the same thing. It's just like, let's get to the I.O. tower. And that is basically it. But it really isn't that difficult to get to the I.O. tower. It's literally kind of just to our right here. And I will say, even though I was slightly wrong about saying we don't get to go visit this area, and we do, there is another extra area of the Space Paranoids that we don't get to visit, so, which I believe is through the red door there. But having said that, I don't think it's actually that big, from what I remember. It's actually reasonably small. Also, I seem to recall there being a rather hideous challenge in this room. Like, it was evil. Because they throw a lot of Heartless at you, and they're quite difficult. Also, I really do love this limit. Most of the limits in this game are amazing. There's just the odd few that are a little bit, like Jack's one, Captain Jack Sparrow's one's a little bit, and I'm pretty sure that Aladdin's is a little bit, as well. So, yeah. But either way, all we need to do is go into this room here, activate something or other, and then we're at the boss of Space Paranoid, so got through this pretty damn quickly. So let's make sure to get these chests, because don't want to miss those. They are, after all, very, very big chests. Which is generally, they have something important in them, if you hadn't guessed that at this point. It really you should have done. And after a nice little quick save, it's time to take on the boss of Space Paranoids. We don't get to deal with the MCP until later, which is a little bit disappointing, but oh well, these things happen. We'll deal with him next time. It's probably actually one of the few instances where the primary villain of the world doesn't get sorted out until the second visit, but oh well.
I'm disappointed in you, Program. Why do you insist on allying with these selfish users?
Because I want to help them. Something written into my code commands me to do what is right.
Really? And what command would that be?
I can't really say for sure.
Friends, they help each other, that's all. Uh-oh, look out!
And here we go, it's time to take on the hostile program. You're not the most difficult boss in the world, but I think he can provide a little bit of a challenge if you are unprepared. Because he does do a lot of shooting things at you. But there is the really awesome thing of if you kind of build up your clusters high enough, then you can freeze him, and that obviously leads you to have a lot of kind of plus, well, it gives you more chance to hit him, which is great. I have to say, kind of, I may have mentioned this a little bit before, but like, it really does surprise me how easy I'm finding some of these kind of bosses. Because like, when I first played the game, I think even though I was playing on beginner, I struggled. And yet here I am on Proud Mode, aka the hard mode, that's meant to be really stupidly difficult. And yet, most of the bosses are just a cakewalk if you make sure that you are a decent level. It's kind of insane, really. Although I think that may very much be that Kingdom Hearts 2 is probably one of the easiest games in the entire series. And I mean that completely seriously. It really is one of the easiest in the series. I think if you tried playing the original Kingdom Hearts on Proud Mode, then it's much more likely to try and kick your ass. Also, that limit with Goofy is a godsend. Like, it is so powerful, and it just wrecks bosses up. It's great, I love it. But, we've stopped the hostile program. It's time to get us on back to Hollow Bastion, I should think. And stuff's about to hit the fan. Quite badly.
I really owe you one. With all my functions up and running, I think I've got a chance of getting system control away from the MCP. Now, I'd better get to work. It's what my user would want.
What Ansem would want. Listen, Tron. We didn't get the password from Ansem. We just sort of found it, back in the user world, by accident. And one more thing, Ansem, he was our enemy. I mean, he still is, I guess.
Well, actually, he's my enemy, too.
What do you mean?
Ansem took Encom's original system and customized it for his own use. I was part of the original system, and Ansem modified me, too. So, that makes him my user. But Ansem is also the one who brought back the MCP. The Ansem I first knew wouldn't do that. I'm sorry I didn't tell you.
That's okay, but now I really don't get it.
I don't understand it either. But I think users like you are going to be the ones who will finally figure it out. You have the ability to take illogical routes and still arrive at the answers you seek. Now go, before the MCP starts acting up again. Any data you need from the DTD can be accessed directly through my user's terminal. I'll keep a dedicated access channel open for you. I changed the password, so you won't have to worry about the MCP for a while.
Access channel?
I knew you'd ask. It's a very important link between our worlds. It's how we stay connected. You, my friends, are the new password.
Thanks, Tron. Take care.
You too. And give my best to the users.
Well, that's that.
Look.
Tron, hang in there.
So, where do we start?
I know. Let's access the DTD.
The King's checking the situation in town. He'll be back soon, so don't worry. Hey, look. It's asking for a password.
That's easy. It's...
Sora!
Donald!
Goofy!
That's... to the point.
Well,
That did it. We're in. I have to go into town. Need to see what that last shakeup did.
you're not gonna check out the data? It wasn't exactly easy to get.
I'm coming right back. Hey, Sora. Why don't you get started unloading the data and copying it down? It's just a few keystrokes. Easy, right?